school doesn't drug test, so you feel as if you're trapped in this unfair, ongoing circle in this battle. This is something I've had to deal with a teammate, and let me tell you, is no fun and really degrading. With so many student athletes, you would think that the policies for doping would be very high. In the 2010-2011 school year, the National Federation of State High School Associations estimated that more than 7.6 million students played sports. In other words, about 56% of all high schoolers were student athletes. U.S. News reports that the study done on November 15, 2015, by students at University of Pennsylvania say that less than 20% of all high school students in the U.S. have drug testing policies. Of those 7.6 million students, only 1.5 million are actually tested. As the student athlete population continues to grow, so should these drug tests. When I conclude this speech, I hope you all understand where I'm coming from and agree that these student drug policies should be reestablished in high schools. In all 37,000 high schools, these should be reestablished. One, because these high school athletes are in the prime of their athletic careers and their health is very important, and it needs to be maintained at the highest level possible. Two, legally these athletes are all obligated to the responsibility of their team's success. And lastly, they represent their school communities as fair leaders and competitors. First, let's look at why their health is so critical. When it comes to anyone, but especially athletes, their health is number one. And their priority, without that priority, you can't have a healthy mind, body, or soul. No points can be scored, no games can be won. And no success would be found in any of that. I'm sure you've all heard the saying, what you put in is what you get out. And that couldn't be any truer when it comes to doping in athletics. One popular drug amongst many student athletes is marijuana. According to the ESPN Special Reports, Drugs and Alcohol by Gary Wilder on September 6, 2015, performance skills can be impaired for as long as 36 hours. And in the scheme of things, that's not pretty detrimental. But there are some long-term effects, as it's used quite often. You experience things like slow reaction time, minimal exercise capacity, high level of fatigue, decreased motor coordination, and these are all things no team can afford when it comes down to their health, reputation, and success. The NCAA article, Marijuana and the Intercollegiate Student Athlete, Implications for Preventions, written on November 13, 2014 by Jason Kilmer and Carolyn Holton of the University of Washington says, all of these lead to problems with coordination that can severely impair athletic performance. As athletes, we are always battling the battle of right and wrong, whether it's on the field or off the field. Some may consider this drug and others may not, but either way, it comes up positive in a drug test, and that's alcohol. School party to play is a motto for some, but there's no perfect performance when one becomes drunk at the after-win celebration party. When listening to the Winona State Health presentation on Thursday, October 6, 2016, they brought a shocking statistic. When an athlete gets drunk on any given day, it takes a full 2 weeks for them to completely gain that performance back from that day that they were drunk. This is a selfish act, and no team should have to suffer from this poor decision due to what their teammate decided to do. Another poor decision is the use of tobacco. Smoking is something that can become so addictive, and to athletes that is incredibly dangerous and detrimental to their health and performance. According to Livestrong, the effect of smoking on athletes by Jeremy Nicholson on August 16, 2016, smoking inhibits oxygen supply to your brain, heart, and muscles. In addition, smoking decreases your body's capacity to heal, weakens your skeleton, and raises your blood pressure. Athletes who smoke have less endurance, are weaker, and suffer more injuries than their non-smoking competitors. Once again, risking an athlete's health when they're at their prime is just not worth it. Your sport is forever, and your health. Your sport is not forever, but your health definitely is. These mandatory drug tests have more value than just giving an athlete their consequence and teaching them their lesson, but the value for their health for the rest of their life. Which leads me to my next point. Not only will these drug tests implement the value of health, but also the value of a team's success. Every student athlete is part of a program, school, that is much, much greater than themselves. There is no success if a teammate defeats himself by using illegal substances. Yes, the consequences are harsh. I can completely attest to that. In my junior year, one of the girls on my team, she came to tryouts and something was off. And it was shown in her Snapchat story, and my coach found out. Her love for volleyball was overtaken for drug and alcohol problems, and that is how powerful these substances can be. She was given multiple opportunities, but coach had to make the harsh decision of cutting her. Her usage was only going to continue to hurt the team and minimize all the benefits if she wasn't held responsible. If my coach had not made that tough decision, the story would have leaked, our team's success would have been shaken, and legally there would have been quite a few issues. Think about all the athletes you know. local or famous, thanks to the drug test where competition has been made fair again, although their success has been robbed from them. These drug tests are always in place for most college athletes and professionals, and I think they would definitely benefit all athletes below these levels as well. The promise for success for every team will be made much higher when schools give athletes more motivation to stay clean during their season with a simple drug test. Athletes have a lot to sustain, not only their health and their team success, but the roles that they come with being an athlete. Which leads me to my final point. Athletes are all well known at their schools, their communities, and in the dreams of little kids that are cheering them on in the stands. Hundreds of parents and children attend local high school athletic events every year. These families look up and idolize these local celebrities in their towns, and their children want to be just like them. With mandatory drug testing policies in place, this is just another incentive for the motivation of students to not act upon these acts. Student athletes always have a bigger audience than just their parents, peers, and neighbors. The audience that values these athletes the most are the young ones who can only hope and dream about being that little girl in the swimming pool or that big bad guy on the football field. ABC News reports How Kids Emulate Athletes by Tracy Zimmer on October 13, 2000 says, kids ranked athletes amongst the most admired people in their lives. 9 out of 10 of kids said famous athletes teach children mostly good things, but some of the lessons learned from athletes are less admirable, researchers say. So we know the influence that athletes can have is huge, and when that role model uses illegal substances, it sends a message to children that it is okay to cheat, because as long as you're the best don't get caught. With heavy placement of the drug tests put into action, athletes will be caught and face the strict punishments. With these mandatory drug tests, this is another form for athletes to choose the fulfilling, fair, and happy lifestyle that any kid would strive to be like one day. As our time today comes to a close, I hope that you understand the importance in changing our high school drug testing policies. Every high school should have mandatory drug tests for student athletes, because athletes, again, are at the prime of their careers and their health needs to be maintained at the highest priority as possible. Legally, these athletes are obligated to the responsibility of their team's success, and they represent their school and communities as fair leaders and competitors. From the Coach's Playbook Against Drugs, Dante Washington, a forward for the Dallas Burn and former U.S. Olympic team member, can attest to this. He says, as an athlete at any level, it is important to maintain a body that is healthy and physically fit. By maintaining a drug-free lifestyle, I am able to keep my mind sharp, hold a winning attitude, and put forth my best effort on and off the field. I hope to communicate a positive message to young people by setting a drug-free example, as well as encouraging them to do the same thing within their schools and communities. When this is all implemented into all the 37,000 high schools, all athletics will be made fair again. Athletes will have greater health and higher success.